So, I had this idea a long time ago, and I've actually sat on it. I think I tweeted out a link to it. A page on all of the siblings, all of the family members who've played in the NHL together. And I thought someday I'm going to come up with a list of my favorite brothers that have played in the NHL together. And it's an interesting idea. Cherry 7 Up. That's also an interesting idea. I like Cherry 7 Up a lot. So, in this case, just because a guy's my favorite player doesn't necessarily mean that when him and his brother are together, they're my favorite brothers. You got that? No? Good. Fine. It's fine. Number 12. Because it's the top 12 list. Wayne and Dave Babbage. Both played for, I believe Wayne played for the Whalers as well. Played for the Blues. Dave played longer, but I liked Wayne Babbage. Both of them had, as I remember, pretty epic mustaches. Number 11. These guys are currently playing. Nick and Marcus Foligno. I was a minor fan of their dads, but man, these kids are awesome. Minnesota's going to find out that Marcus is a keeper. And Columbus fans already found that out with Nick. Number 10. Saku and Mikko Koivu. Saku Koivu and Mikko Koivu are two of the more talented brother tandems. In terms of, they both play a really solid all-around game, and it's a shame that injuries shortened Saku's career. But Mikko's still going strong, and it's a case where both brothers have had similar sets in terms of their talent. And I have nothing but respect for both of them. Number 9, and this one kind of surprises me because a couple years ago I would have not had them on here, but Michael and Marcus Granlund at number 9. Michael Granlund had a fantastic season for Minnesota, and Marcus had an underrated season for the Vancouver Canucks. He was actually a very good forward. I really think he would have scored more goals than he did if he'd been given more of a chance on the top line, and I think this year he may very well get that. Number 8, and this is a set of 3 brothers, Kevin, and Kip Miller. And I was a big fan of all 3 of them. All 3 players were 3 of my favorite guys in the early 90s. And I have no issue with any of them. Even though they played for a number of teams, and I could say, oh, well, this guy played for a team I didn't like and did something I didn't like. No. Number 7. Come on. Henrik and Daniel Sedin. They would definitely be higher, but we're talking brothers over the last 35 years I've watched, and they just don't reach that level. That's just for me, but I do like the Sedins quite a bit, and they're the best Canucks they've ever had. Seriously. Number 6, Neil, Aaron, and Paul Broughton. And Neil and Aaron played together in Dallas or in Minnesota. And then Neil and Paul played together, I'm pretty sure, in Dallas after that. Aaron and Paul never played together. Big fan of the Broughtons. And they're American, so if you're American, there you go. See, I'm not xenophobic. I've got Finns on here, I've got Swedes on here, I've got Americans on here. The Millers are Americans as well. All covered. Number 5, also American, Kevin and Darian Hatcher, who played together in Dallas. What I liked about them was that Darian was a big, powerful defensive defenseman. Kevin was a big, powerful offensive defenseman. And I thought it was fun when they played together, and I wish it had lasted longer. In Dallas, of course. Number 4, staying with Dallas. There's actually a lot of Dallas and Minnesota in here. Jamie and Jordy Ben. Jordy drags them up. If Jordy hadn't really impressed me over the last season, especially. This tandem's probably down at about 8th. But man, Jordy's just a warrior. And Montreal fans found out what I knew as a Dallas fan the whole season, which is that Jordy Ben wasn't just brought to Dallas because he was Jamie's brother. And if he was initially, he played his way past that. Number 3. We're going way back with this one. This is back to when I started watching hockey. Marian, Peter, and Anton Stastny. The story of them emerging from the Czech Republic. The story of Peter and Anton defecting and then Marian came over after. Fascinating stuff. Absolutely fascinating stuff. Basically that Peter and Anton established themselves. Marian came over, the oldest brother, and they kind of deferred to him even though his talents were dwindling somewhat. It's really interesting. And the three of them all played on a line together as well in Quebec. It was fun to watch. Number 2, Pavel, and he should have been a Canuck, Valeri Bure. And it is Valeri because when asked, Valeri said, Valerie is a girl's name. My name is Valeri. So, Pavel and Valeri Bure. Number 2. And I'll never understand why the Canucks didn't draft Valeri Bure. It was an easy PR move. It was not a great draft. And Libor Polasek was drafted instead. And it was one of those things where it's like, it still hurts my brain to think about it because it was so easy. We knew Valeri Bure was going to play in the NHL. We knew he wasn't as talented as Pavel, but it didn't matter. He was talented enough to make the NHL, and in a Canucks jersey, it just would have been this fantastic moment, and it was denied because they wanted a big center. They didn't worry about whether or not he was a talented center, though. And number 1, Jeff and Russ Courtnall. Jeff and Russ Courtnall also played together for the Canucks, not long enough. They didn't play long enough together, and Jeff was the one they let go, which was weird. Russ was brought in to try to kickstart the offense for the Canucks, and they let Jeff go and kept Russ. Jeff went as a free agent, and they kept Russ. I still shake my head at that one. And it's not that I didn't like Russ Courtnall. I did. They wouldn't be the number 1 brothers if I didn't like Russ Courtnall. And that's despite the fact that he had played for Toronto and Montreal, 2 teams that I did not like at the time. But Russ Courtnall, fast skater, very good player, good shot, and Jeff Courtnall, one of the best wrist shots I ever saw in the game. And it's a shame they didn't play longer together in Vancouver because there were hints that maybe they could get some really good chemistry, and then it just didn't work. There are honorable mentions here. Any set of twins that have ever played in the NHL, which would include Henrik and Joel Lundqvist. I've always found the twins thing interesting, even Peter and Chris Ferraro. It's an interesting thing, the whole twins playing together. And the fact that, and Peter and Patrick Sundstrom is another one, who had very similar skill set too, and they both played for the Devils at different times. Because, in Vancouver you look at the Sedins, they have a similar skill set. Daniel's the finisher, Henrik's the setup guy, but you could easily switch them, and Daniel could easily be the setup guy, and Henrik could be the finisher. It's just their personalities, that's the way it works. Henrik showed the one year that Daniel was hurt that he can finish it off just as well as anybody at the time. But, it's an interesting setup that happened in Vancouver, and it's been an interesting last 3.5 decades of hockey that I've watched, and it'll be interesting to see what kind of siblings get on this list next. Let me know your favorite set of siblings in hockey history that you've watched. Remember, this is of guys that I watched. I'm not going to put up the Richards because I didn't watch them. I'm not going to put up Gordie Howe and his brother. Didn't watch them. I didn't watch Marty Howe, so I couldn't put Mark and Marty Howe on here. I had to go with guys that have actually watched play hockey. So let me know what you guys think. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And thank you so much for watching. You guys make it worth sitting in the heat with a shirt on and discussing hockey. Because I discussed it with Yvonne, and apparently if I did it with a shirt off, it would give a completely different impression. And probably cost me a lot of subscribers. Yeah, it cost me a lot of... So I nixed that. We nixed that idea. Thanks for watching. And yes, I know there's 2 previews coming tonight. No, I haven't decided on who it is yet. I have not decided on who it is yet. So stay tuned. I know it's late, but I'm trying to wait until it's a little bit cooler. Good luck. I think it hit 30 today. For those of you in the States, that's Celsius, not Fahrenheit. And yeah, so that's coming. Thanks for your patience. Thanks for being out there. And we're cruising to 10,000. So close. So close. I'll talk to you again soon.